Hello and welcome. My name is Jevgenij Rusakov and you're watching TVP World, interview from Vilnius. Amid growing tensions between the United States and its European allies, the war in Iran is becoming a key test for the unity and resilience of the Western alliance. At the same time, questions about NATO's future and the global balance of power are becoming increasingly urgent. To discuss these developments, we are joined by the member of Lithuanian Parliament, Matas Maldeikis. Matas, thank you for joining us today, sir. Glad to see you in our studio.
Hello, everybody.
The global picture. What's your overall assessment on the current geopolitical situation?
We are seeing that geopolitical tension is being raised by the countries who understand that they are the great powers. Russia, China, United States, they are seeing that they are more and more losing their control and the world order that they created. United States created the world order that we lived in. China is playing their game, Russia is playing their game, and we see that this geopolitical tension is rising because all the powers is playing different games and all have very different national interests. And what we are seeing that those powers want to play their game, and at that same time we see that middle countries, middle powers also playing their game. They can play. Now we live in a world...
Excuse me, by saying middle powers, who do you mean?
I mean European Union, I mean Iran, I mean some European countries, Philippines, the countries that earlier was like was in second division. Okay. And you could not check their national interests per se, because great powers, China, Russia and the United States, could play in their own league. Now they have no chance to play only in their own league. They have to look what is going on with the other countries, and that is making the situation for everybody a bit anxious. Everybody becoming anxious in geopolitical area. Everybody is losing their mind, not seeing what is going on here, what we are supposed to see here going on. And that anxiousness, what we see in geopolitical anxiousness, comes to the military power that we are seeing in Iran, coming to the sanctions, other regimes. This all comes from the big powers, seeing that their long game could not be played any longer.
Okay, how does this geopolitical situation affect Lithuania and the broader region?
If we're talking about Lithuania, paradoxically, it's absolutely different situation that we could imagine. Of course, this geopolitical tension that we see is bad for Lithuania. But one thing that I would really like to emphasize is very good. Okay. What do I mean? I mean the situation, what we are seeing in Iran in a broader perspective. Because United States, Russia and China now clearly see that they can't win just by dominating, military dominating. Middle powers like Poland, if we're talking about Poland, because when we are talking about Lithuanian security question, in a broader perspective, we're talking about this region security question. And here comes the power, the factor of Poland. Poland is becoming very much of a geopolitical factor in this region. Very powerful geopolitical factor, not only economically, but also military. And that means one thing. Now, Russia, seeing how United States is struggling in Iran, that sends a message to everybody that, look, the new world that we are living in now is absolutely different story than realpolitik of a Kissinger time, when you have free powers that play on their own league.
Let's talk about the disagreements between the US and European Union that we see today. So how does the war in Iran influence this divide?
Divide happened about 15 years ago, when the interests of the United States become much more different from the interests of the European Union. European Union still want to live in a old world order that was created after Second World War. I call it Bretton Woods world order. It was created, it was very successful, it achieved its goal of winning the Cold War, and European Union got risen. All the countries that we know in European Union, they got risen and become powerful and wealthy only because of the old world order. Now United States understands and sees that this old world order that they created, paradoxically, does not now align with their national interest. Because in the situation that we have, not only European Union is rising as a concurrent of United States, but also China and Russia. That makes United States wonder that they think that they need something new. They need something new, but the old world order that we lived in, it doesn't align with the United States' interest. And this is the situation that we have. European Union want the old game, United States want to create the new game. This is the difference when we are looking at the rhetoric and actions of the United States and the rhetoric of action of European Union countries.
Okay, now again, coming back to US commitments to NATO, what would reduce US commitments to NATO, how would it affect Lithuania's national security? Well,
NATO is an instrument, is a result. I would look at the cause of everything, because NATO is the interest of liberal democracies, of their shared value, getting their interests together to get one instrument to fight everybody else. Now, what is going on? It's not about the instrument, it's about what is going inside those countries. What is going on in the United States? United States is going through identity crisis now. Trump is a symbol of United States identity crisis.
That's interesting.
Yeah, it's still haven't decided what is want to be and what is gonna be and what is their national interest is. The biggest problem in the United States that it's still the player that don't know what it wants from itself and from everybody else. So from that perspective, also European Union. European Union look at this from a different perspective. Their national interests, we see that in the countries. We see that in Germany, Alternative für Deutschland. What does that mean? That means that 25% or 30% of Germans think that the party that is with a message that they are sending to everybody is okay, and that is aligning with their views. That is the problem, not what is going on in NATO per se, what is going on inside NATO countries. What is going on in the United States with the identity crisis? What will Germany look like in a longer perspective? Not this electoral cycles, because we will get some kind of combination of new government, of maybe conservative and social democrats again, maybe somebody else, but still Alternative für Deutschland will be out of the picture. Okay, I can imagine. But in a longer perspective, because we are seeing how everything is changing in this trend. France, what is going on with France? We should ask ourselves why the electorate of France think that Marine Le Pen and the new guy, new beautiful guy,
that old identity crisis.
The same identity crisis, you can call it, exactly. So the question is not about NATO per se, the question is what is going on in NATO countries inside them. Because NATO, in the end of the day, is political and only then military alliance. Politicians will decide what to do, not generals. They will make the decision. So NATO is only the result. And we are seeing that in most of the NATO countries, we see a big crisis of political elites. Elites that earlier have 100% consensus of NATO, of values and things, liberal democracy. Now we don't see that anymore. And what will happen on NATO will depend not in NATO headquarters, but in the capitals, and depend from the electorate who will vote for the politicians that will proceed.
That's interesting. Okay, now let's come back to Iran, because at some point the things that happen in Iran well, they definitely have an impact on what's happening in NATO.
Yeah.
So you have previously suggested that regime change in Iran may be the only way forward. However, this goal now seems increasingly difficult to achieve. So how do you assess this situation today? What would the failure of the US and Israeli military operation in Iran mean for the region and the world as a whole?
We have to understand what would be the price of United States losing in Iran. And if regime stays in power in any form, that means United States is lost this war. We have to comprehend that absolutely 100%, because Trump just saying I won and just getting out of there doesn't mean that it won. It means it lost. If the regime stays, that means the monarch of the countries or the region will have to go to China, because for the security questions, it have to go to Moscow.
Security guarantees.
For security guarantees, it will have to go to Moscow. That means the United States and also Europe 100% losing this region. Not only Iran, but the whole region.
You mean Saudi Arabia?
Saudi Arabia and other monarchs, because their only way will be Beijing and Moscow, because they will have a headache that they can't comprehend with. If regime stays in power. But also that world economy becomes blackmailed by the one Hormuz place.
Exactly.
It's a Western alliance, Western civilization can't deal with that, because the prices would be too high for the economics and for the geopolitics in the longer term. China is already winning in a big broader picture. We have to understand that. China is playing Go, and is playing Go very, very efficiently, and we will have a lot of problems with China. I can guarantee you that. It is winning in a war between Russia and Ukraine, because Russia already is the proxy of China. So China is already won the war in Ukraine. Now looks like that China will be the winner of conflict between Iran and United States. It's a very traditional Go game that China is playing and winning. And for Western alliance, let China win here, also here, means, the domino. Geopolitics is like domino. To what side or dominoes will fly?
One tile.
Yeah. And looks like if United States loses there and regime stays, that means that the domino goes to the China side too much for the West to comprehend. That means the regime at any cost must go down.
Okay, so here's my final question then. Are we moving to a new world order where the US is no longer a dominant power? And what would that mean for Europe and Lithuania?
I would start with the words of Italian philosopher Gramsci. He said, the old world already dead, the new hasn't been born. We are living in a time of monsters. Absolutely fabulous quotation that we are living now. The old world is already dead. The new hasn't been born. It will take about generation for the new world order to be born. The situation, what will happen with the West, how China will align, what will happen inside of China, how we'll deal with inside politics of their own.
How we deal with those monsters, right?
How we deal with those monsters. And now we have a time of the monsters, 100%. In any capacity, monsters in all the different forms, from the persons to the situation that we are dealing with. We are living between world orders, and this is a time of the monsters, and we will have to deal with that.
Let's hope this time of the monsters finishes as soon as possible, and let's just literally hope for something better than we see today. Matas, thank you very much for joining us today, and I really hope to see you once again in our studio.
Thank you. Always a pleasure.
And I would like to remind our viewers that our guest today was a member of Lithuanian Parliament, Matas Maldeikis. You're watching TVP World. Stay with us.